Good evening and thank you for being with us. I'm Cordell Wright. Proponents of an open primary measure are responding to criticism brought up about their ballot measure. This comes after a new ballot campaign called Vote No spoke against ballot measures for marijuana, abortions, carbon pipelines, and open primaries themselves. Grant Green has more in our top story tonight.
In our previous coverage of this ballot issue, opponents have said that money is being used to push this and that's going to lead to corruption and jungle primaries, as they call it. Well, the chair of the measure, Joe Kirby, decided he wanted to stop by our offices and tell his side of the story and what he really thinks.
Kirby says that this isn't the case and that the statement is ironic to him.
The biggest, most moneyed groups in South Dakota politics are the Republican and Democrat Party. That's where the money is. So our group is trying to reform politics to be a little more fair, less partisan in South Dakota.
Amendment H would bring a two-party system to the state, something only Washington and California have in place.
I think a lot of people were disappointed when they saw what happened in the primary election on June 4th. 17% of the voters showed up to vote, which is ridiculously small. People have disengaged. A lot of people don't have a voice in the primary.
Kirby says open primaries will bring back voter participation and voter confidence.
By Tuesday, it will officially be on the ballot for the November 5th election. In Sioux Falls, Grant Green, Dakota News Now.